Welcome to Grown Up Storytime 143. I'm Emily,
I'm Blair.
and we are really happy that you can be here with us today. It's the last show of 2020, which is cool and crazy. And we just thought we should maybe do a little show intro in case there's anyone here who hasn't been here with us before. This is Grown Up Storytime, where people send us stories and then we pick the ones that we think will work best together that month and assign them to readers. So it's sort of a hybrid theater storytelling mix. If you're into tell your own stories, that does exist here in Houston. We have a moth and we love them and we point you to it. This is a little bit different, a little bit more theatrical. There's a few more people involved because of that, which we also like. It just kind of broadens the pool of people involved. Can you think of anything else, Blair, that needs to go into what Storytime is?
No, that's the magic, is you're about to witness stories being read by not the people who wrote them. So extra magic is involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we have some extra people involved, we are a group that likes to support and compensate everybody who is working with us, whether they wrote us a story, are reading a story, or are helping us host this event. So that is why, if you are currently watching this during the watch party, you've already sent us $5 so that we can help compensate all those people. But if you're watching this after the event, we would still like some help with compensation. You can send $5 to our Venmo, which is @GustHouston, or you can email us if you don't know how Venmo works. We'll figure it out with you. But yes, that does help us make sure that this world is sustainable and that we are able to give back what people are giving with their arts.
Yeah. Also, thank you if you have already given us money. We really appreciate it. It really does make the world go round, unfortunately, including Storytime. So we appreciate it. We also want to let you know what our email is if you have a story and want to send it in. It's grownupstorytimehouston@gmail.com. We don't usually have themes. We did one theme with one of our guest producers. It actually worked out really well, so maybe it's something we'll explore in the future. But no really theme needed. You can send us anything. We're happy to work on it with you as well. If you have any questions about, is this even right for Storytime, you can just send it to us and we'll read it and we'll work on it with you if you like. We do host workshops. We don't have one currently scheduled, but it has been a pretty regular thing. So look out for that. Really, the best way to keep in touch about that is to follow us on Facebook, because then you'll get notified whenever we make events. I think that's it for workshop announcements.
Yeah. So about sending us stories, though. So next month, because this story time is not just the end of 2020, but it's actually the end of our prolonged season. So we made the decision last year that instead of going from June to July over the year, we switched to January to December for our season. This means we have about 6 months that we're going to catch up on from 2019, plus all the stories we heard this year, for us to do a best of grown-up story time for our season, which is happening next month. So we'll be virtual, and we would like to hear what stories you guys loved over the past year and a half. So there will be, there's a Google form you could go to. It's tinyurl.com/Gust Best Story 2020. We'll make sure that that's in the description. You can go there and tell us, like, if there was a specific story you saw, whether you saw it live at RUDYARD'S or here in virtual Storyland. We'd love to hear what you loved, because we're going to bring those stories back for next month. So if you do submit a story between now and next month, it's going to be saved for our next season, which starts in February with our guest producer, first guest producer of 2021, The Outspoken Bean.
Yeah. And also, just in the spirit of year ending and holiday cheer, we want to thank everyone that's made this show possible over the past year. Switching to doing it virtually was a whole thing, and definitely had a big learning curve. And it wouldn't have been possible without Bree, our other producer, So thank you, Bree, for being with us and helping steward that transition. You were really instrumental. We also want to thank Connor and Ned, who have transitioned into being sort of our regular guest hosts. And you guys have also been, I honestly don't think we could
We
have.
wouldn't have done this at all. We would have given up long ago if they had not shared with us their technical expertise, their energy, their love for Storytime. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, it wouldn't be what it is now, and it might not be at all if you guys weren't here helping us. So we love you and we really appreciate you. We also want to thank the 3 guest producers that we had this year, which is a tradition we're going to keep going on with next year. We had Keisha Breaker in June. We had Brenda Valdivia in September, I think. And then Shayna Schlossberg in November. You guys were awesome. You brought a lot to the table that isn't normally there. And we really appreciated having you. And we look forward to continuing that next year as well.
Let's get this show started.
Hey, thank you.
All right, are we back in here? Well, great. Now our whole bit's effed. Do you want to just do the bit again? Let's do the bit again.
Okay.
Okay, wait. I'm going to go to standby, and then we're going to pretend like we came back real. Ooh, this is the first time we've done this bit.
Oh my God!
Oh gosh, it's so cold out here.
Oh my goodness!
Look, let's just get to it. There's a cabin over there. Let's go to the cabin. We don't need to go through this part of the bit.
What's that? Oh, look at it! It's so warm inside. The blizzard is over. Hey,
Yeah.
look, it's the grown-up Storytime audience. Hey, everybody, good to see y'all.
That's where the bit went, and we were actually really nice to the audience in the bit. We called you guys warm like a fire, but you didn't hear it, and we're not going to say it again because we're mad.
And it's a special day. If you listen to our show, you know that we have a lot of
Wait, Connor, we screwed up the title earlier. This is our chance to do it again.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Tonight-
Guys, tonight is the Effin' Rager presents Grown Up Storytime produced Effin' Rager X Grown Up Storytime Winter Holiday, but mainly Christmas Special 2020.
Yay! Yay!
That's right. Tonight, do we not only have some fantastic stories read by fantastic readers, but we've got a whole variety of exciting sketches we wrote today.
That's right. Fresh off the presses, they're still warm. Ooh, hot. Ooh, you're going to love what we have for you, at least we hope.
Or at least you're going to deal with it.
Wow, yep, my phone was blowing up, so we can't hear you. Sorry, everyone. All right, why don't we go ahead and just get in?
Ned, I don't believe in global warming. What is this? I hate all of you. Stop.
What? They're saying you don't believe in
They're roasting us like chestnuts on an open flame.
Oh, my goodness. Well, stop it. This is a very thankless position.
Yeah.
Look.
The only thing colder than this weather is your reactions to us.
Look, why don't we just go ahead and get that first story going?
Yeah, let's rip into it.
Okay. All right, everyone. Your first story of the night. Oh, man, I can't wait. This is going to be really special. You'll see. It's called My Last First Date, written by Alex Ebner and read by Shelby Bond.
Ooh.
Swipe right. Rachel. Turned out to be a nudist exhibitionist. Called me a misogynist when I asked her for clarification. Not interested. Swipe left. Catherine. Not Jewish and on a Jewish dating app. Not interested. Swipe right. Anna. Met up at a bar. Watched her drink 9 drinks in an hour and 15 minutes before leaving with another guy. Not interested. Swipe left. Helen. Senior citizen in the 25 to 30 age range on the app. Seriously? Not interested. Swipe right. There she was. Sporty, go-getter, hardworking professional, sexy librarian type all at the same time. Tentatively interested. But she was all the way in Michigan, and I was in Chicago. Well, let me give you some context. It was 2017, and I was in that tired of dating but still lonely slump. To make things worse, I had the very unfortunate headspace of being nervous with women but jaded with life. And on top of all that, there was the anxiety of not even knowing what I was looking for. I was several years out of college, and up until that point, dating was fun and, it got me a little closer to clarifying my goals, but I still really didn't know what I was looking for. It was all so vague. My idea of a successful partnership actually came from a scene in Fiddler on the Roof, where the husband asks the wife, "Do you love me?" She looks at him like he's crazy, and her response was basically like, what the fuck kind of question is that? We have, home together, we have kids together, we've basically been healthy and sick together, and everything else a person can go through, I've gone through with you, and now after 25 years, you want to know if I love you? I'm yours and you're mine, so yeah, I guess I do love you. I promise the scene was a lot more romantic than I'm making it sound. So, taking a lesson from the movie and thinking big picture, I knew that way down the road, I wanted to be a part of a traditional Jewish family and raise some kids with the same values my parents taught me. I wanted to do Little League and have family dinners and all that. Like I knew that's where I wanted to end up, but how on earth was I going to get there? How was I going to find a partner who shared the same life plans when those plans go so fuzzy in the first place? Was I going to have to sacrifice romantic chemistry for practicality? Was it even possible to have chemistry with someone and still be able to grow together? I needed someone like me, but more me than me. Does that make any sense? I think it actually does. Really, it all came down to, I'll know it when I see it. You get the point. I was anxious and confused. All right, big picture aside, who else hates dating? I mean, if it's in person, then you have to choose either whether to strike out like A with a stranger at a bar, B with your cousin's new roommate at a group outing, or C on the blind date that you were not enthusiastic to go about in the first place. And dating apps work for some people, like especially people like me who get nervous around women. But then you still have to choose whether you're going to A, ignore their bio and judge them by their picture, or vice versa, or B, start up a conversation with that person you gave a pity swipe to, or C, decide to go like all in and meet up with one of those people in real life. Naturally, if you do meet in real life, then you're back to square one, where you have to choose how you want to strike out with this person, like, you know what I mean? You have to decide if you want to strike out with this person in person on this rendezvous. Anyway, then, of course, there's the frustration of creating your dating profile. Should you put 1 or 2 pictures up of you rock climbing? Should you use a taco emoji and a pizza emoji? All this in your About Me. And how do you filter out the rejects ahead of time? When I set up my profile, I tried my best to make it funny while still showing, I had something going for me. My main picture was actually just my school ID. It said law student at the bottom. So, people would know I'm an intellectual. And the photo was me putting my hand up to my chin, staring pensively at the camera like the statue of the thinker. And I don't know why they let me do that for my official photo ID, but that's a story for another time. Now, my strategy for filtering out the automatic rejects was to make sure that whoever I might match with was okay with my pets. My second line read, "Having 2 cats does not make me a cat lady." Yes, I realize now that one sentence likely made more people filter me out than the other way around, but whatever. Now, let me bring you back to the sporty, go-getter, hardworking, professional, sexy librarian, Michigan. In her picture, she was bundled up in a blue and purple scarf, and she wore big glasses and bright red lipstick and a giant smile. And we started messaging a bit. And after a few days, I was actually getting hopeful. Like, my concern, though, was the Michigan part. I asked her if she was really living there or if it was just a typo or out of date or something. And she confirmed she did indeed live in Michigan in a town called Benton Harbor. Damn. I was 100 miles away in Chicago. Damn. Huh? And that was that. I wasn't about to start something long distance, so I decided to end things before they started. I ghosted her. I got a text a few days later. "What, are you tired of me already?" Yikes. She called me out. So I didn't want to seem like a jerk, so I lied. I blamed the app for malfunctioning. Like, I was a little embarrassed, but on the bright side, she was genuinely still interested. I was upfront with her and expressed my concern that she didn't live in town and I didn't have time to enter into a long-distance relationship. "It's okay. I'll actually be in town to spend Thanksgiving with my aunt and uncle. Maybe we can just grab coffee or something." I looked at the calendar. Thanksgiving was in 2 weeks. So I told her I was free the day after, the Friday the 24th. And we tentatively agreed to meet up. She gave me her number, in case the app started glitching again. I texted her a couple days before we were supposed to meet up and gave her some typical first date suggestions, like coffee shops, ice skating, etc. She asked what part of town I lived in, and I told her Andersonville. OMG, have you ever been to the Neo-Futurist Theater? It's right there in your part of town, and it's amazing. Like, I was a little unexpected that she was, taking the lead and being so direct, but it was refreshing. It's less work for me. It's funny how a girl from Michigan knew so much about my city. I hadn't heard of this theater, but I looked it up, and it was less than a mile from my apartment. So I got 2 tickets online. The only showing for that night was 11 p.m. She must have known that, and if she didn't mind, it was fine with me. Things were looking suspiciously good so far. The girl was cute, enthusiastic, and, didn't seem to mind my disclaimer about cats. Regardless, I kept reminding myself to keep perspective, because this just wasn't going to work out. Stay jaded, Alex. Stay jaded. She'll turn out just like all the rest. Don't get your hopes up. Friday rolled around, and I spent the afternoon going through all the old books that had accumulated over the years in my apartment, trying to figure out, what I wanted to donate and what I wanted to keep. I ended up with 100 books on my dining table and various piles of yes, no, and maybe. And in retrospect, maybe it was a metaphor for my thoughts on dating, scattered and uncertain. My phone buzzed at 5 p.m. She was running super early, 6 hours early. and she was at the coffee shop just down the block. So I jumped in the shower and I was about to start shaving, and I thought, maybe she likes the 5 o'clock shadow. Should I show scruffy? Okay, we're going to the theater now. What should I wear? Should I wear like a suit, slacks, and a tie? Was I overthinking this? Oh God. My nervousness was rushing back. I decided just to be casual. Nice jeans and a blue cashmere sweater. Oh, we texted a bit to coordinate a meeting up, but it was clear I'd have to play this by ear. Sorry I'm so early. I hope you didn't have to change your plans. I'm at the coffee shop sitting towards the back. No, it's fine. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. By the way, I should get this out before we start. I get nervous around women, like really nervous. Well, you're in for a treat because there are only women here. Okay, see you soon. Crap. I just said crap. She's going to think I'm crude and have no manners. This date is going terribly and hasn't even started. Was I overthinking this? Okay, I spotted her through the window before I walked in. Light brown hair just past her shoulders, dark blouse, blue jeans. The place wasn't full of women at all, but I was still unsettled. I walked in and I shook her hand. I bought her a cup of tea and sat down and we started chatting. And the first thing I noticed was how comfortable she was for being on a first date. Her confidence made it seem like she already knew it was going well. At one point, her phone rang, and I told her to go ahead and take it while I go refill my cup. But she shook her head and told me it was just her alarm, that she set it to go off every Friday at 7 p.m. to remind herself to light candles in observance of Jewish tradition. Okay, that was unexpected. Now she had my attention. Jewish, but not too Jewish. Definitely Jewisher than me. A weekly 7 p.m. alarm told me she was at the level where I eventually wanted to end up. Something clicked in my head and I told myself that I needed to stop overthinking things and actually pay attention to this girl. I started looking at her differently. The conversation, it turned to personal values and family histories. And the longer we sat together, the more I felt at home. And the rest of the evening went great. We talked until the coffee shop closed, but still had several hours before the show started, so she suggested dinner. Have you ever had Detroit-style pizza? There's a place just down the street that does a phenomenal job. I had no idea there was a pizza place nearby, and I've been living around the corner for years. This girl's knowledge about my city was putting me to shame. I thought, the pizza was okay, but I pretended to like it a little more than I did because, Anyway, we played two truths and a lie. She told me about getting kicked out of school, about her grandpa, and about her collection of 23 pocket knives. The last one was a lie. I don't remember what I listed off. Probably something about getting stalked in France by a homeless guy or how my best friend was a tailor. After dinner, I suggested that she shouldn't break tradition and that it would be a good idea to light candles. And I told her that I had some back at home, but I just run out. That was a lie. But I never kept it in home. But I just wanted her to think that I was more in tune with our shared culture than I really was. So we walked to the grocery store, and I picked out the smallest box of candles I could find, which was still comically large. I think she thought it was funny, but she didn't give me a hard time. So we went back to my apartment, and I watched her set them up and go through the exact same motions that I had done as a child with my family, step by step and word for word. I grew up 100 miles from this girl, but right then, even having just met, we couldn't have been closer. She asked me about all the books scattered on my dining room table, and I told her to go ahead and take anything she was interested in. And she happily picked out a dozen or so and smiled and thanked me. Like I said, as if all these books were a metaphor for my thoughts on dating, she was right there making my decision. Right. I'll spare you the rest of the details of the date, but the theater was hilarious, and I turned out to be way overdressed. At the end, it was 1 a.m. in the morning, and I walked her to her car. I was, yeah, it was not, I didn't want to part ways, but I smiled and went to shake her hand, and she just looked at me expectantly but patiently. Oh, boy. Like, I knew what this meant. First kiss. Like, I always get super nervous at this part. But I thought about her confidence back at the coffee shop, and I knew that it was time for me to step up. I leaned in and I slowly kissed her on the cheek. When I stepped back, her lips curled into a smile. You can give me a real kiss. Like, I'm blushing while I write this. As she climbed in the car, I told her that I liked her, but repeated that I didn't want anything long distance. She was very matter of fact and said, we'll figure something out. And that was that. I knew at 7 p.m. on November 24th, 2017, that this would be my last first date. Thanks for swiping right, sweetheart. I love you very much.
Wow, oh, wow. That was a pretty good story. But hey, us elves need to get back to work, fixing Santa's sleigh before the big day. So what are we doing today? Well, this year, Santa wants a little bit more cheer. So we're adding a brand new Blizzard Ripper 5000 propulsion unit. Woo-wee! That's got 2,000 reindeer power! Yeah, the guys up front aren't even pulling this thing anymore. Putting on a show at this point. Hell, what I'd give to trade places with those elves pulling the sleigh. Elves? Don't you mean reindeer? Oh, you didn't hear? Actually, all those reindeer pulling the sleigh are elves that were bitten by a weredeer. Wait. Weredeer? Weredeer? They're right in front of the sleigh, stupid! Pay attention here! Now, before we install this new part, we're gonna have to turn off the hot cocoa dispenser. There's something wrong with the cocoa dispenser. There's something stuck in it. Hey, you're right. Something's leaky here. What's going on here? What the? Hey, I think I see what the problem is. It's a story right here. Oh! And it looks like the story is
The Christmas Cactus, written by Teresa Campbell and read by Francis Wynn. Let's check it out.
Accidentally mixed irresponsibly and die alone in a hotel room surrounded by half-eaten takeaways. I often name my plants, but I never named the Christmas cactus. It's odd because for a short time she was my companion, my roommate, the only other living thing that depended on me. I lived in a small hotel room downtown 2 years ago after leaving a marriage that I would not wish upon anyone. I was lonely. I was terrified of what might lie ahead. There was nowhere to cook or to wash my clothes, but I'd only grab a few of my belongings anyway. I had two notable sources of comfort: the care package of wine and snacks from my dear friend Caroline, and that scorching, hot shower. I probably spent as much time bathing as I did drinking. I forced myself to go to work, despite feeling like I was only functioning at about 60%. I am #blessed with the most fantastic coworkers on this earth who listened, hugged, helped, and checked my ever-rising blood pressure on the bad days. Each day around 2 or 3 p.m., I would reliably ask myself, booze or Xanax tonight, lest I accidentally mixed irresponsibly and die alone in a hotel room surrounded by half-eaten takeout. One day, my sweet mother brought me a few things. A refill of wine and snacks, as well as a plant. It felt ridiculous, but it was nice to have a living thing to return to after 13 hours at work. For anyone unfamiliar, a Christmas cactus blooms bright, beautiful flowers every year in the fall or winter. Mine blooms magenta and is absolutely magnificent. This tiny plant gave me the little bit of purpose that I needed outside of work, and I was grateful for her company every day. She has now survived 3 moves alongside me, as well as some unintentional neglect. Sorry, Boo. However, this darling little creature has given me so much more than her lovely festive flowers. When it was just the 2 of us, she gave me something to nurture. She reminded me to take care of myself. Water for you, water for me. 2 years later, my beloved companion still lives in my room, reminding me not just to have a glass of water, but that even in life's winters, that I too can bloom.
Oh man, that was a really fantastic and sweet story, and it's honestly the most that I can do to, or most that can happen to cheer me up. I'll be honest, guys, I'm having a really crappy day. I forgot to get presents for my wife and my beautiful children, who are already mad at me. Oh gosh, what am I gonna do?
Sounds like you made a mistake there, Bozo.
Whoa, huh? Is that the great and grand Gazoo?
No, it's the great Bazoo, dipshit. Sounds like you're having quite a few Christmas problems.
Holy shit, you're mean.
Yeah, me and Gazoo have that in common, I suppose.
Yeah, but you're like way more rude. That's not the point. Look, I could use a helpful space alien like you. I've got a really bad problem. You heard it already, right?
Yes.
The wife, she's pissed at me. The kids, they're pissed at me. And I forgot to get presents. They're going to be double pissed, maybe even angry.
Oh, I think a Christmas miracle is on its way, dum-dum.
What are you talking about? 1 second, I'm getting a phone call. God, huh? Yeah, I can be there right away. Thanks. Oh, man. Well, Bazoo, you don't have to worry too much about these presents. In fact, I'm not going to have to worry about them either because, well, my children and my wife were in a horrific car crash.
You're welcome.
Bazoo, did you have something to do with this?
I'll never tell.
Bazoo!
But sounds like you're going to be pretty blue this Christmas. So maybe you should go to the next story of ours, which is The House of Blues, written by W.D. Hesser. We wrote these sketches in a day, folks. And read by Chris Skelton.
Hello, Grown Up Storytime. My name is Chris Skelton, and this is The House of Blues gig by W.D. Hesser. I had a band with some friends like 10 years ago. I say I had a band because I imagine it's almost like having a child. You spend a lot of quality time with someone, you combine all your traits together into something that you have to pick a name for, nurture, attempt to make financially stable, and ultimately let go of with memorabilia in a box in your closet and on your walls to show for it. I don't know, maybe someone else has drawn that comparison before, but I wouldn't know it. Our music was somewhere between rock and roll and heavy metal. It started out just me and the other guy, also named Billy, who I met at a party. He said he had a drum kit that was built by the drum tech for Yes or something, and another big orange plexiglass one. Well, that all sounded cool, since I had a bunch of big, loud stuff too on account of working at Steamboat Amps at the time. I still have most of it in my dining room. It's too much power to take anywhere, yet too sentimental to ever get rid of. Well, we were digging the two-piece vibe for a while, and I mean, who doesn't love a good two-piece? As for the songwriting, I pretty much created the content, and Billy was the editor, scrubbing the songs down with a coarse, no bullshit brush when we would jam together. We wrote our own songs, put out small records, and played short sets with a bunch of other bands at local venues that no longer exist. Places like Fitzgerald's, places like Walters. Oh, rest in peace, Pam. Those were better days. What we did not do was play cover songs for hours at restaurants and weddings or whatever. The band I'm in now does that stuff, and I dig it. But this band was loud, heavy, and fast. Or really, really slow. We played some rad shows as a two-piece, too. Like the Westheimer Street Fest in the Numbers parking lot where Ian was running sound out of the bed of an El Camino. I mean, that was cool. Our first guitar player, Bob, was a friend of mine from the recording studio. He drove an old Duster and played a beautiful cream and gold Jazzmaster. Bob would hang out around with his friends' bands while they recorded demos and stuff. He had a real cheery, easygoing way about him that I really liked. Very Mitch Hedberg-esque. Oh, man. R.I.P. again. Damn. Don't worry. Bob is still alive. But we did have to part ways for him to some point. I'm getting there. Okay. Bob had this loose, lazy, dirty, almost improvisational style that I found refreshing. I would more or less stick to my lines, old reliable. But I liked how Bob's fuzzy, noisy riffs sat like low-hanging clouds over Billy and I, holding it down on the ground. After a while, he proved just a tad too far out for this dyad of Billy's, and we had to cut him loose. That band meeting was a drag, let me tell you. Still, we played some rad shows with Bobo, like the Westheimer Street Fest and the Mango's little parabolic reflector stage, before Whiskey Wednesdays tore that place a new one. God, man, again, better days, jeez. One of the weirdest shows with Bob was easily my weirdest ever. It was when we opened for a touring Led Zeppelin cover band in the big room at the House of Blues. That may have been our first show with Bob, now that I'm thinking about it. One of these big shot promoter guys in the scene seemed to think that we would fit and threw us a little big time bone. Now, I've been at the music thing for about 8 years at that point. And this was probably the most legitimate operation I'd ever been a part of. We're talking our own dressing room, stocked with beer, stagehands, and a stage manager with walkie-talkies on a hardwood stage with a giant curtain and line array speakers and wireless microphones and a freight elevator and meal tickets. This was no joke. And the Zeppelin cover band were all these old dudes in sweatpants with dad bods, and we didn't hang out with them at all. They were pros. Okay, I guess it was kind of a joke. So we set up in front of their gear, which was already sound checked and covered in blankets. I had my usual 2-amp rig. Bob had a couple of combos way across the stage, and Billy was on his orange kit and on a massive platform in the middle. We're used to being crammed together, but we were so far apart. Even with individual monitor mixes and sound checks, we couldn't hear one another or really feel each other's presence at all. Mind you, if you're playing music with someone, especially if you're making some of it up as you go along, it really helps to be able to hear each other. This is really a story about the importance of good monitor mixes, y'all. Being that it was a clean, accessible venue, I invited my parents, who brought their longtime friends, basically my aunt and uncle. They sat up in the balcony, used some meal tickets, and waited for us to play. By showtime, we had drank all the complimentary Budweiser and smogged out the dressing room. The stage manager summoned, we plugged in, and the curtain opened. Y'all, we sucked. This new lineup with Bob did not jive that well to begin with, and the magnifying glass of expensive stage mics, digital mixing boards, and proper acoustics was not kind to us, let me tell you. Worst of all, when we were all done, the stage manager and the audience were actually pleading with us to keep playing, but we simply had no more material. Bob had only been in the band for like a month or two and knew like 4 songs? Granted, some of them went on long psychedelic guitar tangents that would normally fill a 30-minute set, but we really had milked the jam parts for all they were worth. It's like, these assholes show up with a ton of gear, drink all the beer, play a short, crappy set in front of, 150 people, only to refuse to play any more songs, leaving like an hour plus of music before the headliner. It was so bad, y'all. Like, I don't know. I mean, Ted Zeppelin said that we sounded good, but I think he was just being polite. Looking back, the most redeeming quality of the night was Bob, who sent his beloved anniversary jazz master hurling across the stage, along with the styrofoam cup of whatever beer he had left from the dressing room fridge. And guys, he loves that guitar. I think he said he just really wanted to leave a dent in the stage. So I'll admit, Billy and I were pretty doggone embarrassed about the whole ordeal. But somehow, Bob's rock tantrum seemed to punctuate the horror show just right. I mean, we were way out of our element, flying by the seat of our pants. In a way, we felt like we authenticated the spirit of this glorified rock and roll karaoke night by putting ourselves out there regardless of proficiency or preparation or circumstance. I've come to really appreciate the sort of truth and character that shines through when people just enjoy creating or performing without perfection being much of a priority at all. Hell, even if it totally sucks. I think that House of Blues gig helped me develop that appreciation. Or I don't know, maybe that just helps me sleep at night. Anyway, after we got all of our shit off stage and shared a good cringy belly laugh about it, I went and sat with my parents, ordered some Southwest egg rolls, and waited for Zepp to play Communication Breakdown. Thank you guys. You're awesome. Grown up story time forever.
All right. Good story. Good introductions. Now that we know everybody's name. All right. I want you all to have a good time today. I want you all to get excited. Remember, you are the best. You are at the top of your league. You are number one in this industry. You are the mall Santas of America. And each and every one of you, you're going to go and grab your outfits. You're going to get out there, and you're going to make sure that those kids have the best thing. Yes, sir. What's up?
I thought costumes would be provided. I didn't bring a red hat.
So you didn't bring an outfit?
No.
Okay, we may have something for you in the back. Why don't you get at me after the end of the training, after I give this pep talk to everybody else, and you and I will talk, okay?
Okay.
All right. So everybody go ahead and grab your beards and your outfit, and we're going to go out there, and we're going to show everybody a great time. Yes, sir. What is it?
I didn't bring a beard.
You didn't bring your suit, and you didn't bring a beard. Look, when you applied to be a mall Santa, you applied to be more than just a mall Santa. You applied to be an ambassador of joy and cheer. You applied to bring happiness into all these little children's lives. Look, after the year that these kids have had, We are the only mall in Houston that denies the existence of COVID, and these kids are excited to sit on Santa's lap, all right? So what you need to do is get your attitude together. I mean, did you even bring anything? What? Before you even say it, please tell me you brought something.
Yeah, I brought something.
What?
It's a story. And it's The Power of Love. And it's written by A.J. Vorman. And it's read by Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, then.
The Power of Love by...
Transition.
The Power of Love by A.J. Vorman. My parents were divorced when I was a single digit in age. Like most kids in that situation, in that era, I lived with my mother and spent my Saturday afternoon and evening meal with my father. This basically ruined any chance I would be able to have friends because we could never do anything fun together, like go to the movies or play at each other's houses. My father was totally blind due to an accident he'd had as a kid. He'd gotten a head wound while helping my grandfather with the cattle on their farm. The wound got infected and the infection spread to his eyes. This was near the end of the Great Depression, before World War II or penicillin. So, if we were to get a ride to or from our weekly visitation, it would be my mother driving. And that was not always possible, so we often walked. In a small town, nothing is really far from anything else. Even my school was only a little over a mile away, and it was on the other side of downtown. Because my mother worked, we often walked home after having dinner at some restaurant with my father. Even in winter, when it was dark and the temps were in the single digits. My mother used to complain about my father not getting us a cab. On our way home, my sisters and I would often complain about our lives. It occurred to my sister Darla that if our father was dead, we wouldn't have to spend our Saturdays with him. As avid readers of Agatha Christie novels and Ellery Queen magazine, she and I would talk about how we could murder our father in a way that we wouldn't be caught. Not getting caught was important, you see, because in the stories, people tended to be caught, turned over to the police, and presumably jailed. My other sister would have no part of these discussions. She was younger and didn't seem to appreciate how burdensome these forced visitations were on Darla and I. We talked about different things. Poison was a popular topic, specifically what consumable to put the poison in so that he wouldn't notice. Coffee, which he drank a lot of when we weren't there, or booze, which he drank a lot of when we were. We also discussed leaving him on a train track when a train was coming, except neither of us could see well enough to know which set of tracks the train was actually on. We could also start a fire from a cigarette butt since he was a smoker. During one of these conversations, Darla clapped her hands and said she had the perfect idea. I grew up, of course. I moved away, got married, had kids, and all of those standard things that were expected of me. When my father had business in Columbus, Ohio, where I was living at the time, he would visit and get stuff for my kids. Even so, I was surprised when he called one December evening to get my address so he could send a check for me to buy gifts for the boys. The check never came. I'd forgotten about it until he called in early January to say the post office had returned the letter with the check. He wanted to verify my address, so I gave it to him over the phone. A few days earlier, on New Year's Day, Ann Landers and Dear Abby had both written about how important it is to tell someone you love them because anyone can go at any time. I'd been thinking about that, and I'd actually called my mother-in-law to thank her for the lovely Christmas we'd had with her, my brothers-in-law, and their families. So, after I gave my father my address and thanked him for the check I hadn't yet received, I told him. I said to him, "I love you." He got choked up and then said goodbye, and I patted myself on the back for doing a good deed. The next morning, Darla called to say my father had been found dead in his apartment by a neighbor. He'd been in his underwear and had the phone receiver in his hand. She said it was probable that his heart had failed, as he'd had a pacemaker for several years at this point. She said she was taking care of the arrangements and suggested I call our mother about driving back for the service and the reading of the will. Only then did I remember Darla's plan to kill our father. It was quite simple, really. Tell him you love him and watch him die of a heart attack.
All right.
Yeah.
That was a great story.
Fantastic.
Look, we've had four great stories so far tonight,
And almost a half good sketch.
we're getting there. They're accumulating points. Listen, if you've got a story that you'd like to share, we highly encourage you to go ahead and send it in to grownupstorytimehouston@gmail.com. You can go ahead and submit it there. And hey, if you've got the inklings of a story and you're like, I don't know, I kind of want to flesh it out. I wish I could, workshop it. Guess what? Grown Up Storytime offers not only a reader workshop, but a writer workshop as well. So you can go ahead and email that same email address. That's grownupstorytimehouston@gmail.com. And you can get more details there. And if you're watching this live, that means that you went ahead and, paid for a ticket to see the viewing room. But if you're watching it after the 15th of December 2020, that means that you're watching it on YouTube. But if you still like it, if you still want to give some money to Grown Up Storytime,
Yeah, you don't even have to be watching it. You could just feel like it one day. It'd be like, you know what? They could use some money.
Yeah.
Let's toss them some bucks.
you can go ahead and send a Venmo to GUST Houston. That's Gust Houston, and all the money that they get, it goes right towards the artists. It goes right towards the workshops. They're good. They care about the people who keep this thing alive. All right.
Connor, I just thought about something. You said a writer's workshop, a reader's workshop. That last scene that we did, kind of a Santa's workshop. I don't know, just something I thought of.
Wait, was it? I thought that was Mall Santas.
But it was like they were workshopping their Santa Clauses because it was like a class for Santas, so it's a Santa's workshop.
We cut our working class Santa's workshop sketch. We thought it was too edgy. But we do have a sketch right now that we
you're not getting off easy this round.
Yeah, we wrote one between every story. So if we could just prep a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is CSI North Pole.
All right. What seems to be the problem here?
Oh, it's quite a crime scene, Chief. Why don't you go ahead and watch your step? We had a whole class of cadets on their first day, and they puked all over the crime scene. It's a mess. Ugh.
Huh. Thought it was just melted fruitcake.
No, sir, that is pure puke right there.
So what's the crime here? I see a big mess.
Yeah, it looks like somebody took a huge crate of Christmas ham and just ran it over someone's genitals over and over.
Wow. I can see that right here. Well, a cart full of Christmas hams. Looks like they wrecked his balls with Sal's on Dolly.
Yeah! Down, 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 down. And scene. All right, your next story is going to be Hair Care, written by Jessica T. Brown and read by Brittany Bush.
Hair Care by Jessica T. Brown. I came back from Camp Cullen with a knotted afro held in place with rubber bands. My mom screamed, "What did you do to your hair?" I didn't know. I spent the last week wilding out at a Christian summer camp on Lake Travis, trying to learn how to shoot rifles and make candles. No one at the mostly white camp knew how to do my hair. I could tell they pitied me every day as the conglomerate mess of knots grew thicker. A few years later, my blonde-haired, blue-eyed best friend Amanda cut my bangs in her bedroom. She doesn't remember this, but we almost had to cut our friendship short. From that day forward, my mom made me swear never to let my friends do my hair. To say my mom was obsessed with my hair would be unfair. No doubt I felt this way growing up, but my mom was trying to protect me from the racist world I didn't know yet. My father was biracial, and my mother is multiracial, making me a mix of everything under the sun. Unlike my half Guyanese, half Portuguese cousins, I didn't grow up with good hair. Their locks were long, strong, and flowed like their crescent waves. My hair didn't really flow. It mostly sat on my shoulders, stuck together with grease and ball hair ties. My mother's hair is straight, and as such, she would brush my hair for hours, straightening it with every pull. I started relaxing my hair at 11. Sodium hydroxide dripping down my neck, skull, and into my ears. I have sensitive skin, which I later learned was psoriasis, so my head would burn almost every time. Painful moments waiting for the toxic chemicals to tame my hair. What might sound like cruel and unusual punishment to some is a tradition in many Black homes, the need to conform our hair to fit white standards. I remember the day my brother decided to grow an afro. My father grumbled words of ghetto and ragamuffin at him. The irony is, my father had an afro in high school, and I'm sure his mother called him the same names. My brother grew out his afro despite my father's objection, until it became cumbersome, then reverting it to a slick fade. Whenever my mom would make a huff about my hair, I'd say, I can't wait to shave my head when I'm older. When I did shave my head at 23, I cried and felt alien in my fresh cut, until I sat with my skin. I looked at myself. The sensuous pattern that swam across my skull, the crinkles of crow's feet growing out from my eyes, the way my sideburns proudly sat on my cheeks. Now, more exposed than ever, I began to embrace myself. I could go swimming in the pool without the chlorine chemicals making my hair fall out. I could go for a jog and not worry about sweating out my relaxer. I could have sex and not be afraid of my hair being a shitty mess in the morning. I didn't have to worry about leaving the straightener on, having bobby pins with me, or paying $100 an appointment to burn my head. Freedom couldn't be sweeter. People ask why I shave my head, and I almost always said, I hated doing my hair. It's true. I did hate to do my hair. It was a massive time suck of an inconvenience. I mostly hated doing the brittle, broken hair I had that never grew past my shoulders. I always wanted tight ringlet curls. Instead, I shaved my head and lived in my skin. After being bald for a year, I began to grow my hair out, and I learned I had these ringlets all along. My 3C curls, mixed with 4C coils, created a crown of mahogany brown hair around my head. Unfortunately, my stress caught up to me, and this was when I learned of my psoriasis. After 8 months of growth and trying to manage, I shaved my head and moved on. A year later, I found myself in a lecture at the University of Oregon where a PhD student shared their dissertation covering Escape the Corset, a feminist movement in South Korea aimed at rejecting the country's standards of beauty and the social pressure to conform. I sat there, the only bald person in the room, finding the other truth in my answer. I shaved my head because I wanted to control this part of my being that was so personal to me. I didn't care to fit into anyone's standard of beauty. I felt more beautiful bald than I had in my entire life. I used the time inside this year to get to know my skin and connect with my multiracial roots. I grew out my hair, learned to take care of it, and cut it again because I can. Because it's my hair, and I'll do what I want with it. I thought of writing this story because a mentee asked if she should get box braids. The last time she did, she was fired from her job, and her employer refused to tell her why. Her introduction to workplace discrimination. Before answering her, I had to consider today's job market and acknowledge my positionality in wearing my hair the way I want. But I told her what my Black mentor told me, and it's what I'll tell all the Black people I know. Wear your hair however you want. These standards of professionalism we're aspiring for are racist, and we deserve better than that. We fought too hard not to be ourselves in this world. You don't want to work for an employer who won't accept you for all of your Blackness. I don't mean to be naive of stats and ample research showing how often Black people are discriminated against because of their hair. And yet, I wouldn't want to work for anyone who would make me relax my hair again. Girl, please.
Where is he? Answer the phone. Come on. Answer the phone. Wait.
Hey!
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 How you doing?
Hey! We're doing a FaceTime.
Do a
Hey.
little FaceTime. Thought I'd get some FaceTime with my favorite other grandpa.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how are you doing? You look like you've been outside.
Yeah. I've been checking on the garden a little bit.
Oh, how are the plants doing?
How are the plants? I tell you how they are. Cold.
You're too much. Are you gonna see your kids and your grandkids for Christmas this
My
week?
kids? Absolutely not. No, I told him I'm high risk. Don't
Oh.
want to see him this holiday season.
I did the same thing all year. They'd be like, "We need to see you. We miss you. We can take a test and get socially distant." I don't want to do it.
Nah.
I
I don't
wanna
need
do
to
it.
see your young flesh in front of me on a holiday. That's the last thing I need when the years pass by. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
I don't need to see it. I've really been liking all this time alone, and
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I've been Googling pictures of canoes again. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Can I see? Do you have any?
Yeah, let me try to. I'm gonna try to share my screen with you. I got some photos here. How do you,
I don't know how
can you
to
see my screen?
Do you
Yeah,
know
one
how to
second.
share a screen?
Yeah,
Can I see his screen?
Can you see it now?
I-
Let's just share it.
Hey!
I'm trying to share it.
What's going on over there? You
Eh?
got all kinds of crap all over the place.
Ah, look at my crap. It's all fine.
You
It's
should, have
all
your, you
good.
should have your kids come over and clean all that crap up.
God, that put them to work. Sons of guns never worked a day in their
Oh,
life.
man. You hear there's a vaccine, right?
Oh God.
God, all good
No.
things must come to an end. So now I got to get the vaccine so my kids can see me, so we can all hang out for Christmas.
No
It's a whole
way.
thing. I don't want to friggin' do it.
I'm telling him my skin's too thin. Needle's gonna go straight through me. No vaccine for me.
Oh my god! I gotta use that. I'm using that on my
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
I don't want to see my kids. You know what I'd rather see?
What's that?
A story.
A story. Well, I've got a fantastic story for you right here.
Oh yeah, that's your turn.
You get one of these in the mail too?
yeah. Old people digest.
I don't know why I just looked to my right. I'm sorry. I have a clock over there that's got a funny face on it. I can't help but looking at it twice a day. Anyways, a story I got for you. It's called 72 Candles, and it's written by Deborah Gross and read by Monica Marcha, my favorite.
72 Candles by Deb Gross. Friday, November 24th, 2017. The alarm blared on my phone like an unwelcome blowhorn. I fumbled with it in my hands like a hot potato, embarrassingly, turning it every which way to find the frickin' button to silence the thing. I was on a first date with a guy, and it's my absolute pet peeve when phones interfere with conversation between people. Trying not to be that person, I quickly turned off the ringer and apologized for the interruption. "You can get it if you want," Alex said breathily, almost as if he needed the break himself. He looked like he could use it to gather his own thoughts, too. First dates are usually fraught with pressure, and he'd been somewhat jittery since he sat down. With no delay, I brushed my hand away and replied, "Oh, no. Don't worry about it. It's not a call. It's just this alarm I have." He looked at me skeptically. "What kind of alarm do you have that's at 7 p.m. on Friday nights?" "Well, I light Sabbath candles. I started doing it a while back," and his eyes grew wide. Alex didn't look like he was expecting that answer, but was pretty amused at the novelty. He put his hand up. "Well, don't let me stop you. Go ahead. Feel free to do your thing." Looking around this trendy coffee shop, indie music echoed through the cavernous industrial modern space. People absorbed in their own conversations. I laughed. "Oh, I was expecting to skip it tonight. There's nowhere to do it. I mean, I wasn't planning on whipping out some candles, lighting fire, and chanting prayers right here in public." However, Alex seemed to not want to let this one go. "I wouldn't want you to miss out on your weekly ritual. You can light them at my place if you want." It was a kind offer, but I'm not a girl to go back to guys' places during a first date. Safety is a priority to me, and I was not about to be the next face on late local news headlines. I deflected. "That's kind of you, but I don't even have candles. It's not like I travel with them with me or anything." Alex said that was a quick fix. He recommended the Jewel grocery store up the street where we can pick up a box of candles, then go to his place and light them.
I declined multiple times, but we ping-ponged back and forth until I agreed to this plan. We had spoken for just long enough that I felt like I wouldn't get murdered by leaving the shop with him. I'm not one to make exceptions, but Alex had the ultimate nice guy vibes. Upon first glance, Alex is the epitome of wholesome guy. Tall, but not threatening. Kind, yet assertive. Our original plan for the evening was to meet at 10 p.m., grab a drink, then attend an 11 p.m. showing at Punky Late Night Theater. We ended up meeting earlier at a coffee shop, a little after 6ish instead, but even so, his choice of attire for quirky experimental theater chic was the cleanest cut V-neck, baby blue cashmere knit pullover. Did I say Punky Theater? Yes, I did. This is Alex's edgy look. A pastel robin's egg colored cashmere sweater. We left the coffee shop and chatted all the way to Jewel. The first thing he confessed is how nervous he is around women. First, I was dumbfounded. Who is nervous around women? And even so, who admits it? Especially on a first date. Based on how soft-spoken he had been all night, I mentally eye-rolled and my inner dialogue blared. Oh no, this is the nervous guy? This is just gonna be another date where I'm going to have to spend this entire evening making him feel comfortable and cringe smiling my ass off to assure him he's doing a good job. Or else he's just going to be a ball of wiry nerves that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of the night. Making a beeline to the kosher section, I hoped for us to pick up the usual 8 or 12 pack of candles sold at grocery stores. But those were all sold out. Oh, wow. I guess we can't light tonight, I said with a grin, shrugging cutely. Looks like they're all gone. Alex didn't skip a beat. He just picked up the next option. A cinder block of a box containing 72 candles. It's not like we're lighting up a whole temple. I stopped him. Dude, are you buying a box of 72 candles? This is crazy. We only need 2. 2 candles. What are you gonna do with the other 70 candles? Alex shrugged and just got in line. He was buying these candles, no matter what I had to say. Walking to his place, we ran through the usual Rolodex of first date questions. Where are you from? What do you do? Etc. This was a modest but necessary attempt to understand this guy. I tried to glean as much as I could about him before we ended up at his place until suddenly I screeched. Oh my God. Alex sprung into ready for action mode, asked if I was okay. I must have looked like a crazy person. I was freaking out. I pointed at the storefront to my right. It was an innocuous restaurant called Fat Chris's Pizza. Alice must have walked past this building at least 500,000 times without batting an eye. We were in his neighborhood. I belted. It's Detroit style pizza place. Alex relaxed his I'm about to protect you Street Fighter stance, but was completely lost. Apparently, he didn't register a thing I said. I burst into an emotional, nostalgic explanation of the beauty of Detroit style pizza, going into a poetic description of its crispy, buttery, square edges, its pillowy, soft, doughy interior, and its separation of salty cheese with tomato sauce that gracefully dances upon the pizza's silky bosom.
I mused. Yeah. You don't see them that often. I haven't had one in years. Almost shedding a tear. We still had a lot of time until the show. Alex gestured to the shop and tactfully recommended that we get a pizza. Probably intrigued by trying pizza style that has the ability to evoke madness, followed by poetry and emotional tears in a single young woman. We ordered a pie. Being the gentleman that he is, Alex offered to pay, but I refused. He already got show tickets for tonight and my cup of tea from earlier. This was my treat. The thought also did occur to me that if he is a kidnapper, this would be the last charge on my credit card, helping to possibly trace back my disappearance to his neighborhood. Then our texts back and forth could confirm him as the identity of the killer. So what if I'd be rotting and detained in his dungeon first? At least I dropped the right clues so they could find my body. Dating in the 21st century is bleak. We placed the order and would come back in 45 minutes or so when it was done. At Alex's bachelor pad walk-up, unhung pictures lined the floor and the paint job between rooms didn't match. I stood in a room that was definitely meant to be a dining room, but functioned as an awkward kitchen-adjacent office. I checked out as many stacks of books as I waited for him to dig out some candlelighting accoutrement. He set up the candlesticks for me, stood back, and shyly nodded for me to do my thing. I was about to put my hands above my eyes when Alex exclaimed, "Wait!" He opened his filing cabinet, pulled out a little woven yarmulke, put it on, stepped back, and then gestured, "Continue." I lit the candles, covered my eyes with my hands. My voice sang out the familiar blessing in the foreign apartment, but I felt the tune belonged here comfortably. I dropped my hands from my eyes and overlooked the darkness of the Chicago night in the window. The lights of the flame reflected back at me, filled me with warmth, reminding me it's not just me, but I am connected to all the people engaged in this ritual every week. Like any ritual, the familiarity felt soothing. Behind the burning flame, reflected in the window behind me, was Alex, smiling that we got to share this moment. Back to the pizza place for our cheesy late night dinner. We were the lone people among a sea of red and white checkered cloth tables, but I wasn't uncomfortable. Alex suggested we play 2 truths and a lie, a game I found out later was his staple icebreaker game. He had already pre-prepared his answers to sound smooth and look creative on the spot. I messed up often and found myself just lying to him a lot. We finished at the restaurant by like 10 p.m. We still had extra time until the show at 11 p.m. By now, I felt we had been dating for an eternity, even though our date technically was supposed to start now at 10. This whole time was technically the pre-date. Although all this time up until now was the killing time before our actual dates, I felt like we've had multiple dates since the beginning of the evening. We already met for tea, grocery shopped, performed a religious ritual, ate my childhood-evoking pizza, and lied to each other. And we still had an hour until the doors opened at Neo-Futurist Theater. But the significant part was I wasn't bored. Dating is pretty banal, and usually I'm eager to leave within a couple hours of dinner. But for almost 4 hours in, our real date hadn't technically started yet, and I was having a pretty good time. Go figure. Since that first date, I've been killing time with that boy ever since.
Happy anniversary, baby.
Wow! Oh, wow!
Wow.
What a fantastic story. What a fantastic show.
What a great lineup. And
We got the whole cast with us.
That's right. All of our friends, all of our celebrity cameos that appeared in all of our sketches. Hey, thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. I'm sure, Blair and Emily also appreciate it as well. I think I speak for everyone in the Grown Up Storytime team when I say thank you for sticking with us this year. And and sticking with us while we transition into this digital only thing. Thank you to anyone who orders food from Rudyard's to be delivered. Thank you to anyone who goes to go pick up food at Rudyard's. Thank you to everyone who just kind of keeps the arts community alive digitally this year.
And thank you, Grown Up Storytime, for letting us, me and Connor, do this shit, letting us do our bullshit.
You have no regret.
Yeah, you can't possibly regret any decision.
How can you think that you could have gone with anyone else? And hey, listen, if you like this new world of digital media, just a reminder, we are Effin' Rager, and our show is called FM Rager, and you can find it on twitch.tv/
It's the other side. Yeah, no, you got it right. You got it right.
Yeah. Effin' Rager. Look,
and guys, you can go to www.fnrager.com. It's the most cutting edge website on all the internet right now, using new techniques that most internet hasn't even figured out yet.
Look, Emily, Blair, we're just gonna hijack the plugs right now. We gotta say, hey, are you having fun in the chat? We'll keep the conversation going by going to fnrager.com and finding out how to join
the Rage Cord.
That's right.
I think I have a graphic for it. Let's find this.
Join our Discord. Talk to us.
That's right.
Yeah. So go to fnrager.com and click that link to talk to all your friends. It's like a group chat of all of our friends and audience members. And I'm guessing, based on how many people are watching, I'm guessing it's 50% of y'all. So, hey, again, thanks again for watching.
Seriously, it means the world to us.
Thanks again for tuning in through this horrible, horrible fucking year. But, hey, as you know, we got some pretty great news over this weekend and today. We've got some vaccines, and, let's just say a guy that I call the Cheeto in Chief will be gone very soon.
Who's that?
I don't want to say.
I'm just kidding. I'm turning this into another bit.
All right. Anyway, that's our show. We're getting out of here. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.